Hey, what's going on, y'all? RJ here with CV Tech, and this video here is going to be my final thoughts on the ZTE Prestige 2. Now, this phone has to be returned because I simply just don't need the phone, and so I'm not going to do any kind of review on it, nothing like that. I did the comparisons on it that y'all seen on those two other devices. So that pretty much tells you right there what the phone is, gave you the specs and everything else in those videos. But I might run through them again here briefly, just kind of recap a little bit here on the Prestige 2. Now, this phone here cost $80 at Best Buy, and it's just been released. It wasn't even announced when I bought the phone, but I seen it on Best Buy's website, and I went right that day and picked it up. And been using it for the past 2 weeks. Not continuously for the past 2 weeks, but I have been using it, on and off. Now, the experience has been pretty good with this device. It's got a small 1.1 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon 210 processor, which is a pretty weak processor, and it's just not, it's not for gaming. If you want the phone for gaming, it will do light games pretty well, but as far as heavy gaming, I wouldn't expect too much because it's probably going to chop up on you a whole lot. Now, the big plus with this one here is from the original Prestige, they did double the ROM and double the RAM from 1 gig to 2 gigs and from 8 gigs to 16 gigs, which is a major improvement, going from one Prestige to the other. Both have the same 5-inch display, and unfortunately, they're the same 854 by 480, which is a very low 197 pixels per inch, very weak screen, unless you're looking at it head on. If you look at it at a slant, any at all, it washes out. It's just, the screen is just no good. It's got a 5 megapixel rear facing camera with a flash, records in 720, and a 5 megapixel camera in the front, records in 720 as well. It is micro USB, as you see there on the bottom, and it does have a nice gray trim on the edges of the phone. The phone is black all the way around. Other than that, it's very slick in the back. You will drop this phone if you ain't careful. It's very, very slick. Camera quality, from what I've seen, taking a few pictures indoor, I did not get a chance to do any outdoor pictures, so I'm sorry there will not be any camera samples of this phone. But I did take a few indoors, and they're what you can expect. They're just, they're not bad, but they're not good, so they're kind of fair. The phone works good. I mean, I got really nothing majorly negative to say about the device. I mean, it is what it is. It's a very basic, generic looking phone that's just here. I mean, there's nothing special about it. Other than the fact that from the original Prestige it ran 5.1.1, this is now running Marshmallow. There's a small bump up in the front-facing camera from a 2 megapixel to a 5 megapixel. The battery has gotten smaller than the original Prestige to a 2035 milliamp hour battery, but it does seem to last a pretty good long time. It just seems to last. I would say that the biggest disappointments with this phone here is the display. They could have at least made it 720p. I think that would have not hurt them at all to put that in this device. And also a better processor. I mean, the Snapdragon 210 is just weak, and that's what was in the original Prestige. And it'd been nice to see something bumped up from the original one to the Prestige 2, but it's not. But like I said, if you've seen the comparisons on the Prestige versus Prestige 2, you'll see this phone here is a lot faster. It opens up apps so much better. The RAM management is really good on this device, and overall it just works. I mean, the phone just works. The screen, as you see here, doesn't look bad. Looking at it head on, go up and down, you'll see it does you'll see there that it does kind of go into like a really negative effect and a really washed out effect side to side. Ain't that great? But looking at it head on, it does look reasonably good. And I mean, anybody who wants just a basic phone, that is new, just came out. It probably won't get nougat, nothing like that. It's just running marshmallow, and it probably won't get nothing more than that. But hey, you never can tell. Um, but like I said, the rear speaker is weak. It's not as strong as a lot of ZTEs are. The rear speaker is pretty weak. So keep that in mind as well. If you want something loud, this one in here may not be what you want. If you want a loud rear speaker, call quality seems to be pretty good. Tad bit muffled, but nothing really to be worried about. It sounds pretty good. Reception is about on par with the Warp 7. Now, when they went from the Warp Elite to the Warp 7, they must have changed antennas, because the Warp Elite got very good reception, but the Warp 7, I struggle with reception on the Warp 7. This is exactly the same as the Warp 7. So if you live in a low coverage area, now even here in my low coverage area, when I made a phone call on it, I can maintain a phone call, no problem. Even though it said no bars, not no service, but no bars. I maintained a phone call. It was clear, had no problem. But it does struggle sometimes to connect, and sometimes it does struggle to connect to LTE. So especially if you're in a low coverage area. So that's really about all I can say about it. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about a phone like this. I mean, it's just generic. It's just a little small update, where they double the ROM, double the RAM. In these two devices, between this device and the original Prestige. Is it worth $80? In my opinion, I would not pay $80 for this device. I would wait till it came down to like $40, maybe even $50. If you really want to try this phone out. But that's just my personal opinion. I mean, the J3 Emerge you can get for $80 at Walmart. The LG X Power is $80 at Walmart, and the X Power, of course, would just completely wipe this phone off the map. Battery wise, screen wise, performance wise, every way wise, the X Power would just smoke this phone. I would have done a comparison with the X Power in this phone here, but don't at this current moment don't have the X Power near me, so I can't do that comparison. So sorry about that. But you pretty much know that the X Power would dog it really in a comparison. But overall, the phone I would say is a get if you want to just get it. I mean, it's nothing that I would say, yeah, must have, gotta have this phone. It's the best ever. No. For $80, I think it's overpriced considering what you get in the processing department and what you get in the screen department. If it was a 720p display and a bumped up processor, I see $80 all day long. Good deal. Reason why I say that for is because you can get phones like the J3 Emerge with a better processor, a better camera, better display, and just an overall better phone for the same price. And it ain't been out for like 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So, that's just my thoughts on the ZTE Prestige 2. It's a good phone. Just for $80, I don't think it's worth it. So, if this was helpful in any way, this phone will not be kept. It will be returned because I have no use for it. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about it. So, if this was helpful to y'all in any way, hit that thumbs up button. I sure would appreciate it. Any questions or comments about the phone, and I'll try my best to help you out, and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. You ain't subscribed yet? Hit that subscribe button. I sure would appreciate it. Y'all have a good one, and stay tuned for the next video.